Nick Mendez is a very successful singer. His concerts are always filled out with girls crazy about his romantic songs. He has a soft voice and mixes Spanish in his love songs, which makes them even more appealing. Last summer, one of his songs was a hit, and it was played everywhere. His band with his brothers, the Mendez Boys, is very famous. They have merchandise, interviews in teen magazines, and Nick is the star of the show. Summer Rivera is a fan of the band and she has a big crush on Nick. She never thought that she would meet him in a million years. One day, she decides to send him a fan letter. Nick gets fan letters all the time. He has so many that he can't read all of them by himself. His manager suggests that they hire someone to help going through them, but Nick denies it. He likes reading his own letters, even if it takes a lot of time. To exemplify why he enjoys reading the fan letters, he grabs one. It's in a pink envelope full of cute pictures. It's the letter Summer sent. Unlike the letters others fans write, declaring their endless love for the artist, Summer wrote that she loved Nick's songs about love, and she promises him if he ever needs a friend, he can count on her. She even leaves a picture of her and her number. Nick thinks it's a sweet letter and decides to actually call her. His manager thinks he lost his mind to call a fan. Nick calls Summer and she answers, but she thinks it's a prank call and hangs up. Their connection doesn't end there, though. Nick is persistent, and Summer finally realizes it's really him. Over 15 years, they exchange letters, emails, phone calls, video chats, sharing details of things that are happening in their lives at the moment, hopes and dreams for the future, even secrets. During this period, Summer moved to a dormitory. Nick admits that his band isn't selling as much as before. He breaks up with a girlfriend, while Summer never dates. She finds a new job, and Nick goes solo. They are very close friends without even having met in person. It's about time they do. Summer works as HR at Western Governors University in Salt Lake City. Sometimes she has to solve petty issues, such as an employee complaining about offensive items on their coworker's desk. Summer has a lot of patience to deal with people, but at the same time, her coworkers don't think she's approachable because she never goes to staff meetings outside the workplace. She's a private person, but she's coming across as an intimidating person, which is a problem since her job requires having people's trust. Her boss advises her that the first step to appear less intimidating is to come to the faculty mixer and show people who she really is. Summer isn't excited at all, but there isn't much she can do about it. If she doesn't go, she may have problems with her performance later on. While Summer has to figure out how to have fun with her coworkers at a mixer, Nick is in Los Angeles doing an interview for a local TV channel. The interviewer asks him if he has plans for a comeback, and Nick answers that he hasn't really stopped singing. But his career is in a limbo at the moment, and he's considered a has-been singer. To make things worse, he's struggling financially, so much so that he needs to sell a car from his collection to pay his bills. The reporter from the TV show records him trying to negotiate and complaining that the buyer, Mike, isn't paying the fair price for his car. It's a sad sight coming from someone who was so successful back in the day. His girlfriend Ashley tells him to just accept the offer already because he's desperate and needs the money, and when he asks her whose side she's on, he finds out she's been cheating on him with Mike. All this is being secretly filmed and it's humiliating. Summer goes to the faculty mixer and tries to mingle with people. She talks to Professor Dapper, but he can't stop talking about himself, so she comes up with an excuse for him to leave. She can't wait to leave and go home. Her friend Jan notices and tells her that Dapper was obviously interested in her and she shut him down. Summer says the professor isn't her type. She has high standards in relation to who she dates, and she isn't going to settle. Jan tells her that the man she's looking for doesn't exist, but Summer wants someone who's perfect for her, no matter what. Back at her place, Summer turns on the TV and the interview Nick did was playing. It's not a flattering interview. The reporter says that Nick's career is probably done for after no record deal or tours on site. Summer feels bad for him and sends him a message. They haven't talked to each other in months, but she's worried. Nick, on the other hand, is angry about the interview. He complains to his manager and friend, Dewey, that the interview made him look like a desperate has-been. They try to support him, but Nick isn't even writing anymore. Dewey suggests that maybe he can work with his brothers again, and Nick replies that idea is far-fetched because Joey and Harry don't talk to him anymore, and Zach had another baby. That leaves Nick alone. To solve his problem, his manager finds him a job that could save his career and make him famous again. It's a comeback concert in Salt Lake City. His manager lies to the booker that Nick has a band and even some new material he's ready to release. He's reluctant at first. It's been years since he has last done a concert, but it's a great opportunity for him to be seen. In the following scene, Summer is the face of a job fair at WGU, but no one approaches her table and she's terrified of the exposure. Thankfully, Jan arrives to make her company. She receives a message from Nick telling her he's going to be in Salt Lake City and asking her to call him. Though she's excited to hear from him, she gets nervous at the prospect of meeting her friend of 15 years for the first time. She's afraid he's going to be disappointed with her. Jan tells her she's being silly and to call him already. As soon as Summer leaves the fair, students approach her desk to talk to Jan. In her call with Nick, he tells her he has a gig at the Metro, and Summer congratulates him. As they talk, Nick says he's happy he'll finally be able to meet her, and while Summer asks when, He appears right in front of her. Summer is surprised and shocked at the same time. At first, they don't know what to do. They've known each other for so long, and it's strange. After the first awkward moment, they finally hug. Summer tells him she wants to spend some time together with him if it's possible, and Nick answers he'd like to. Instead of waiting, they go out at that moment to a restaurant, and they are really excited remembering stories of their past. Summer tells Nick that when she told her family he had called the first time, her grandma freaked out. Her mom thought he was trying to sell her life insurance, and her dad doesn't know about their friendship. She didn't tell him because he wouldn't understand their relationship and would probably be against it. They talk some more, and Summer asks him what happened in the last interview he did, because he didn't seem like himself. Nick tells her that it was bad timing because he was having problems with his girlfriend, but that everything worked out after they broke up. Summer says that he has terrible taste in women, and he admits she's right. Then he asks about her boyfriends, and she replies that she had only one, Erwin, who is now happily married to his husband and living in Palm Springs. It's obvious both of them have horrible taste in dates. Nick asks to take a picture with Summer so he can remember the day they finally met, but she says no. She prefers to keep some moments in private. They are interrupted by two women asking to take pictures with Nick. One of the girls is very rude and it bothers Nick and Summer. He apologizes, but it seems like Summer doesn't appreciate being seen with him in public when people recognize him. She gives him excuses when he offers to take her home, and doesn't give a straight answer when he asks if they could meet again. Nick is confused, and Summer feels bad, so she takes a picture of them with his cell phone. Before she leaves, she tells him that she's happy they got to meet in person, and that brings a smile to Nick's face. Later on, Summer is at her parents' house. Her grandma is doing a video dancing for her page, and she has over 50,000 views. She invites Summer to dance with her, but Summer reclines. Her grandma asks her how her day was, and instead of telling her that she had met with Nick after so many years, she lies and says nothing interesting happened. Grandma Rivera knows her granddaughter and notices when she's keeping secrets. Summer then admits that she met with her old friend, Nick Mendez, and her grandma is excited. She remembers that Summer talked about him when she was a teenager. For her, they have romantic feelings for each other, but Summer denies it fiercely. Meanwhile, Nick tells his manager about Summer. He even sends her the picture they took that afternoon. He's really happy that he met her after so many years as pen pals. For him, talking to Summer was effortless. His manager says that was an amazing love story and suggests that could be the kind of PR he needs. At first, Nick doesn't want to do that to Summer, but his manager insists and convinces him to at least ask Summer if she's willing to do it. Summer has no idea what's coming for her. She's listening to Nick's old songs while looking at her old scrapbook, which is filled with pictures of him. She's interrupted when a message from Jan arrives. She asks Summer if she kissed Nick, and Summer replies that they are only friends. Nothing more. Yet, she's a bit shaken by him. She did have a crush on him all those years ago, and it seems the feeling is coming back now. At the Metro Music Hall where Nick is going to do his show, he's practicing with his new band. He can't focus, though, so it's a disaster. Dewey tells him to start taking the concert seriously because if he does a bad performance, his career is dead. After the rehearsal, he calls Summer and invites her to go out with him. They go pick up Summer's grandma's gift, and while they are doing it, they talk about Nick's relationship with his brothers. He confesses that they had never been close, which surprises her a lot because they always looked so happy together. He tells her that it was all about PR, and that they fought more than anything. Summer feels sad for him, but he doesn't seem to care. Nick sees an old school car parked on the street and he wants to take a look at it, but Summer instantly recognizes it as her father's car. She makes Nick leave before her dad and brother notice her, and he's really confused about her weird behavior. She explains to him that her dad was the car's owner, and she doesn't want him and her brother Alex to see them together because they are going to ask a bunch of questions she doesn't want to answer. They go to a restaurant and she tells him the story behind the car, to which Nick replies that he enjoys restoring old school cars too. He thinks he already has something in common with her dad, but she disagrees. Her dad doesn't trust anyone and Alex is overprotective. Nick takes the opportunity to tell her about the idea his manager had, and how great their story would be when it came out to the media. For a private person like Summer, who doesn't even like to fraternize with her co-workers, the idea that the media and internet are going to know who she is freaks her out. She can't believe Nick is proposing that to her, and she feels used by him only so he can look good for the press. Nick tries to explain that it's not a big deal, but it seems like he doesn't know Summer very well. She storms out of the restaurant after wishing him a good show, and Nick is left alone. His next rehearsal before the show is even worse than before. He can't focus on what he's doing, he's not in harmony with his band, and to make things worse, Summer doesn't answer his call and he goes straight to voicemail. He pleads for her to call or text him back, and apologizes for the misunderstanding. Then he calls his manager and she tells him that she has booked a TV show to do the whole segment of his relationship with his fan. Nick asks her to cancel because he's not going to do that anymore, even if it's in detriment to his career. On the next day, Summer goes to her parents' house to deliver things for her grandma's birthday party. There she meets her father, and he tells her that her brother saw a girl similar to her downtown, but it couldn't be her because the girl was with a man. Before Summer can answer, her mother appears. She notices Summer is looking sad, and asks her if she's alright. Summer lies and says she's okay. Her parents leave to go to a charity ball, and Summer stays with her grandma. As they are eating cheesecake, her grandma notices the same thing as her mother. Summer is not happy. Her grandma encourages Summer to tell her what's bothering her, and she admits she had to let go of someone she thought she knew. Her grandma figures out it's Nick, and advises her that maybe she could give him another chance. Moving on, Summer is at the gym with Jen and she tells her that Nick and her aren't friends anymore. She adds that Nick doesn't have any platonic female friends, and that whenever he appears with a woman, she becomes his ex-girlfriend. Jen also encourages Summer to think more clearly about the issue and pretend it's a HR problem that she needs to solve. By doing that, Summer realizes she has a big decision to make. On one hand, Nick has been her friend for 15 years. She loves his songs and he's good looking. He also pushed her boundaries, which she didn't appreciate. Jen tells her that she won't have another opportunity of making her childhood dream of seeing Nick's concert a reality, so she should think about it too. Summer doesn't know what to do. Nick takes the decision out of her hands when he decides to visit her at her work. Summer is surprised, but she lets him apologize for his mistake. Nick is really sorry about what he proposed. Summer says that while she appreciates his apology, she doesn't forgive him. She tells him that she isn't one of his exes, and that she never wants to be famous like they were. Nick retorts that it's part of the deal and it's not exactly his fault. Summer understands, but she doesn't want that to happen to her at all. He says that he really wanted her to be part of his life, and he would accept it if she doesn't want it. Then, before he leaves, he tells her that she can give him a call or send a message with her decision. Jan eavesdrops, and after Nick goes away, she asks if Summer is out of her mind for letting Nick walk away like that. But Summer still insists they are just friends. Jan cannot believe her, and she tries to convince Summer that one day she's going to regret not giving Nick a chance. Summer finally relents and they even schedule a dinner for Nick to meet her friends better. Nick arrives 1 hour late for his rehearsal, and there he receives a message from Summer saying that her friends want to meet him. They decide that dinner later that day would be great. Nick is really happy and excited after that, so much that he gives his best during rehearsal, and he finally feels like the old Nick. He just needed inspiration. During dinner, they go to a Chinese restaurant with Jeannie and her husband, Toby. Nick tries to eat with the chopsticks, but he doesn't know how. Meanwhile, Toby can't stop talking about his job in construction, and Nick admits that he has already worked with construction before he became famous. He and his brothers used to build houses for his uncle, and it was how they were discovered. They used to sing while working, and a neighbor heard them and contacted a talent rep. Summer is surprised that she didn't know that about Nick, and he tells her that not everything about his life is in the magazines. Toby asks if Nick has already met Summer's family, and Nick says that he wants to. Toby informs him that no guy Summer has dated has been able to look Summer's father in the eyes and survive to tell the tale. Summer says Nick is never going to meet her family anyway, which confuses Nick even more. He doesn't understand why she's so against him meeting her family. After dinner, Summer apologizes for her behavior and explains that her family is traditional, and introducing Nick to them would mean more than they are ready for. Nick understands and replies that he's only happy that they get to spend some time together. Slowly, Summer grabs his hand, the first move she makes to show him she's interested in him too. They proceed to talk about Nick's failing relationships, and he admits that he's trying to find someone special like Summer. He also tells her that he should have stopped looking for something that was right there all along. Besides still having her doubts about the relationship and what will come with it, Summer kisses Nick. Then, when the kiss is over, she asks him how he would like to meet her family. Nick grins and kisses her again. They are finally moving somewhere. Unbeknown to them, paparazzi are taking pictures of them kissing. Summer's worst nightmare is going to happen. The day of Summer's grandma's birthday, she calls her dad to tell him that Nick is going to the party as her guest. Her father questions if he's only a friend, and Summer answers that he's a very good friend. Summer thinks the conversation went well and her father's going to behave. Her father isn't happy at all, and he wants to know who this guy is. Summer explains how her family works to Nick. Her grandma is the focus. He has to try to get on her good side by complimenting her. Her brother Alex is into music, but Nick shouldn't talk about music with him because it can lead to an argument between Alex and Summer's dad. She also doesn't want Nick to mention he's a musician because her dad doesn't trust musicians. With her mom, he shouldn't talk about Christmas. As for her dad, Nick has to avoid talking about stuff related to the law because her dad is a lawyer. Also, if he gets into any trouble with her dad, just compliment her that all will be good. The party has finally come. Summer introduces Nick to her mom and brother. Alex thinks he knows Nick from somewhere, and Summer tries to stop him from making the connection and realize Nick is famous. With her grandmother, Nick does exactly what Summer told him to. He compliments her dances and says he follows her. Summer's dad is suspicious of Nick. During dinner, Summer lies to her family about the way she met Nick by saying they met at a job fair. Her father asks if he's unemployed, but before he can answer, Alex finally makes the connection and tells everyone he's Nick Mendez. Summer's grandma explains he's a singer with 5 gold records, and her mother adds that Summer used to have his pictures all over the walls when she was younger. Alex asks what he's doing in Salt Lake City, and he answers he's going to do a show. Things start to go downwards from here on. Alex questions if he still does the same kind of music, and Nick lies, telling him that now he mixes hip-hop too, which Summer's dad hates. Then, when her mom asks how he likes Salt Lake City, he answers the mountains are amazing, and that Christmas must be beautiful. Another thing Summer told him not to mention. Her father proceeds to ask if he thinks Summer's a gig, since he's going to return to Los Angeles after his concert. Summer gets angry that her father said something like that and informs him that they had been friends for 15 years. Summer's dad isn't happy that he didn't know about that. Alex intervenes asking why Nick's with his sister when he could be dating a supermodel. Nick defends Summer and admits he's in love with her, that she's perfect. Summer feels flattered and smiles, but her dad has had enough. Before he can storm out, though, Summer's grandmother comes to the rescue and demands he sit back down. She lectures him about his behavior and tells him that he has nothing to do with their relationship. Nick tries talking to Summer's father, but it's pointless. He's already made his mind about him, and nothing anyone says will change it. Summer is upset about how badly things ended. Her mother comforts her, telling her that her father would get over it, and everything would work out. As for Nick, he apologizes to Summer's grandma for ruining her birthday. She dismisses his concerns and tells him she only cares about what Summer thinks about him. Then, she informs him that Summer's father was hard to impress, and Nick would have to work hard with him. Summer's dad is fixing his car outside, and Nick takes that as an opportunity to talk to him. He offers to take a look at his car's engine since he has experience. He apologizes for coming out of nowhere and blindsiding him. Her dad replies that he's just overprotective of Summer because she was bullied a lot as a kid. He explains that's probably why she's so insistent on having a private life. People can't hurt you if you keep your head down. Nick fixes his car, and he's really happy about it. Summer's dad asks if Nick's serious about her, and he answers that Summer's everything to him. That she's always been there for him, no matter what. This settles Summer's dad and he accepts Nick. The rest of the evening goes well. Nick plays songs and Summer dances with her father. Then, Summer's parents dance and everyone is happy. Later, Summer is with Nick and he sings one of his old songs to her, but in a different version. He confesses that that version was the real one, but the label asked him to make it more commercial. He sings one more, and Summer sings with him while her parents watch. She has a nice voice. It's very romantic. Summer thinks Nick's cute and they kiss again. Moving on, it's a day before Nick's show and he's finally found his rhythm during rehearsal. Dewey tells him the new songs he wrote are great, some of his best work ever, and Nick admits he has been inspired lately. Dewey replies that Utah agrees with him, which makes Nick thoughtful. In Los Angeles, he doesn't have anything holding him. He resides by himself in a big house, while in Salt Lake City, there's Summer, his biggest inspiration. Maybe he should stay. Summer isn't having such a good day. Again, she has to try and fix her coworkers' problems. But nothing she does or says makes a difference. The only one who can make her day better is Nick. He calls her and asks her what she thinks about him staying in Utah with her. His stay there was really good for him, and he wants to stay with her. Summer is excited that he wants to stay, and when he asks her on a date with just the two of them, she agrees. Everything is going great, but not for so long. Alex calls Summer right before her date with Nick to inform her that he's on TV. It's the video of him fighting with his ex-girlfriend when he finds out she was cheating on him. What's even worse is that his ex agrees to give an interview and puts the blame of the breakup on him. Then, the reporter says it didn't take long for Nick to move on, and pictures of him and Summer kissing appear on TV. Summer can't believe that is happening to her, and Nick is shocked. The reporter continues saying that apparently Summer and Nick already knew each other, and that Summer has been his fan for years. Summer freaks out and tells Nick she can't be in a relationship with him anymore. She doesn't want that kind of attention, and it is her worst nightmare coming true. She also tells him that it's better that after his show, he goes back to Los Angeles, and that maybe they shouldn't talk anymore. Nick sees all his hopes for a better future crumbling to the ground. Next day, Summer is back at work and one of her most annoying coworkers is resigning because she made him realize he didn't want to work there anymore. Before he leaves, he says that he learned you can't keep your past around forever, and that sentence makes Summer think about her own life. How she still carries the weight of the bullying she suffered as a kid, and how that fear of people hurting her makes her lose a lot in life. Meanwhile, Nick is asking his manager how the story about him and Summer was published, and she says she asked the TV show to discard it, but they published it anyway. She tells him that at least it could still help his career, but Nick doesn't want to hear that. Summer doesn't even want to talk to him anymore, and it's all because of that. Nick has a chance of becoming famous again, but it isn't what he wants. He only wanted Summer, and now he doesn't have her. Moving on, Summer is at her parents' house cooking with her grandma. She is venting that she's now a cliché, another ex for Nick, and her grandmother calls her out saying that she should stop being stupid. She has always been there for Nick, but now at the first sign of a crisis, she's giving up. Summer thinks they are too different, and her grandma thinks she should be brave and face her fears. Summer ponders if Nick is worth her life changing so much. It's time for his show, but Nick's not even excited. Dewey tells him to call Summer, but he doesn't. The show is crowded. After so long, Nick's back in the game. He has no idea that Summer has decided to go there to see him, but she hesitates to enter. Nick sings the song he wrote for Summer, and she's there, watching him. When he sees her, he stops playing and decides he's going to play it the way he had written it back in the day. It's the same song he and Summer sang at her parents' house. While he's singing, he calls Summer to sing with him, and she bravely goes. She's finally facing her fears and letting go of the past. The movie ends with them kissing and Summer saying that her relationship with Nick was a real-life fairy tale.